A breathless media continues to ramp up expectations for the new administration, using the word historic at every opportunity. And it's against this background that I spoke exclusively with the one and only Rush Limbaugh.
I've never met him. I don't know him except how and what I've seen in television. And I'm suspicious. When I see the media and the entire establishment on the left lay down and become cult-like, and not examine who he is, what he's done, and not really examine what he says, but just praise him because of how he says it, my antenna go up. I'll tell you, a lot of people are right now just, they're absorbed in the historical nature of this, first black president and so forth. Well, that is wonderful. That's great, but I got over that months ago, after he won the election. We're a country comprised of human beings that the Democrat Party and the left have attempted to arrange into groups of victims, and that's who he appeals to. And the victims are the people waiting around for some grievance to be resolved. They're waiting around for something to happen for them, and he is parlaying that. So I think the fact that he's African American, his father was black, to me it's irrelevant. This is the greatest country on earth. We want to keep it that way. It is that way for specific reasons. Now, I look at the things that he has said, and I'm very much concerned that our greatness is going to be redefined in such a way that it won't be great, that we're just going to become average. You cannot have this large a government role in the private sector, with so many people thinking that just because they're Americans, they're entitled to things, that this guy is going to be passing them out and keep this country great and innovative, full of entrepreneurs. These things concern me. Now, my critics and yours, when they hear me say things like this, they have knee-jerk reactions. They're not listening or parsing my words either. They're just, oh, Limbaugh's not with the program. Limbaugh doesn't get it. Limbaugh is not sensible. What matters to me are his policies and what his plans. And I only know what he has said he's going to do based on what he has done and how he's voted. And in terms of what I would use to define the greatness of the country, he's not it.
All right, let's take that a step further here, because all throughout the election, we all talked about the Chicago way, his radical friends, associates, etc., his past voting record. By the way, I brought it up a lot. You brought it up a lot. We all talked about it. What do you think he really is that, and people either ignored it, people don't care, or is he just somebody who is politically expedient? That's what he had to do in Chicago.
We don't know. See, this is the thing. Now, normally we would have, a mainstream media would have vetted this guy, and we would know this. We don't know what he is. That's the whole point. And people don't care what he is. They don't care who he is. They care that he's black. They care that he's historic. They care that they think he's an intellectual because of the way he speaks. It's all about how he speaks. I mean, I look at some of the facial expressions of people when they're watching the guy, and it's frightening. But I'm a thinker. You know, a lot of people, I guess, aren't. People are emotional, and they react emotionally to things. And if he makes them feel good, especially in economic bad times, then that's all they're really going to care about. But I have to assume that he is who he is, and his radical associations are certainly things that have defined him. I mean, if you look at the executive orders that he's promised to issue, he's going to overturn the abortion law that has guided who we fund overseas in terms of family planning, and that's been a roller coaster. You know, Clinton imposed it, Bush rescinded it, Obama's going to reimpose it and so forth. He's going to issue an executive order to close Guantanamo Bay, but it ain't going to happen for 4 years. I think you use the word expedient. He plays both sides. He's going to placate the far-left fringe kook base of his website people, and okay, he's going to close Guantanamo, but he's not going to close Guantanamo.
So then this raises this question. You're a leading voice of opposition, conservative, and have defined conservatives for over 2 decades. You celebrated your 20 years on the air, by the way, nationally syndicated. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Coming off a record ratings year for you. But here, you are a passionate conservative. You've defined conservatives for many people in this country for years. He represents the antithesis in terms of his worldview. So then the question becomes, do you want him to succeed?
Now, this... I am so glad that he asked me that question, that you asked me this question.
I'm glad to.
I'll tell you why. I am hearing many Republicans say that very thing. Well, we want him to succeed. And prominent Republicans, yes, we want him. They have laid down. They have totally, they're drinking the Kool-Aid too. They have no guts to stand up for what their beliefs are. because they're afraid of criticism, they're afraid of being called racist, they're afraid of not having gotten with the program. But if he's going to do FDR, if he's going to do the New Deal all over, which we will call here the raw deal, why would I want him to succeed? If he is going to implement a far-left agenda, and look, I think it's already decided, $2 trillion in stimulus, the growth of government. I think the intent here is to create as many dependent Americans as possible, looking to government for their hope and salvation. If he gets nationalized health care, I mean, it's over, Sean. We're never going to roll that back. That's the end of America as we have known it, because that's then going to set the stage for everything being government-owned, operated, or provided. Why would I want that to succeed? I don't believe in that. I know that's not how this country is going to be great in the future. It's not what made this country great. So I shamelessly say no. I want him to fail. If his agenda is a far-left collectivism, some people say socialism, as a conservative, heartfelt, deeply, why would I want socialism to succeed?
And you believe that his views implemented represent a failure, predictable failure, and conservatism would represent predictable success.
Well, I don't know where what he wants to try has worked. It didn't work in the Soviet Union. It doesn't work in China. They're having to become like us in China in order to survive. It hasn't worked in Cuba. It hasn't worked. It didn't work when the Pilgrims arrived. They tried socialism. Everybody had a plot of ground. They shared what they produced, and the slackers figured out they didn't have to produce anything to get goodies. And so William Bradford said, well, the heck with this. And he said, okay, you get to keep everything you produce, and you're not sharing it. So everybody had to work. They were really giving thanks to God for the lesson that socialism failed. It has never worked. The New Deal didn't work.
What do you make of the, you talk about a cult-like personality, or you use the term Messiah, the anointed one. He descended from the heavens at Invesco Field. What do you make of this Obama worship syndrome, Obama mania?
Well, it is cult-like depending on the people you're talking about, but let's examine the drive-bys, the media.
Right.
While they are praising Obama at that Grant Park acceptance night, or out in Denver, when he accepted the nomination, I listened to John Meekum and somebody else at Newsweek say, this is creepy. It's creepy. It's like he ascends after the speech and watches us watching him. They call him creepy for a few brief moments, but yet at the same time, he's the second coming. Charlie Rose and Tom Brokaw, one night on Charlie Rose's show, I think in preparation for the fact that they don't know what he's going to do either, got into a long discussion about how neither one of them know him. Well, I don't know who he is, Tom said. I don't know what books he's read. I really don't know who his role models are. But Charlie Rose is echoing the same sentiment. I'm shouting at the TV, Tom, you're at NBC. Dispatch a reporter. That's your job. Find out who he is. They didn't.
But you're really saying here is you're in the, I want America to succeed. I want the right policies for America. And this is something you talked about for years, individual responsibility, liberty, freedom. We all have choices in America. It's the antithesis of where we're headed.
Yeah, and the freedom is important to understand in the founding of our country, that it's individual, not group. You're exactly right. I'm 58 years old now, and I don't have hero worship. I have my idols, but even they had flaws that I recognized, and I didn't agree with them hands down no matter what. But I'm not into hero worship. That's what's happening here with Obama. I do care about the country. I care about what made it great. I want it to remain great and continue to be great for people that follow after me. Nephews and nieces. I don't have any kids, but we inherited a country with a great opportunity for ourselves. We want that to be passed on.